Okay, we're now making our way through the Book of Leviticus. And now it's important to focus on a concept which is going to be a central theme from the Parshas 4 all the way to Parsha number 10 to the end of the book. And that concept is holiness. Holiness, as we'll see now, it plays a very important role and something we have to understand as a core idea to the Jewish people's identity. Now, I'm going to break down the Parshas first just so you see how it's broken into sections and the different areas that holiness applies to. But then we're going to discuss holiness as a concept before we go into the detail of the Parshas. So here goes. Parshas 4 and 5 deals with holiness of the body. 6 and 7 is going to be holiness of the nation. 8 is going to be holiness of the priests and the holidays. And Parshas 9 and 10 is holiness of the land. We're going to learn shortly how our bodies are going to reflect our status as being holy or not. Things can actually happen to the body for not conducting relationships in a proper way. We'll see nationally how every one of us has the mandate to be holy. Then the specific commandments that bring out the sanctity of the priests and the holidays. And then the land of Israel has its own holiness that has to be maintained separate from the people that we must respect and abide to in order to secure our place there. So we're going to learn about all these concepts shortly, but let's first get into the idea of holiness and why it's so central to us. So what is the Jewish concept of holiness? I think it's important to get this clear because many people have this notion that holiness has to do with being removed from the material world, being an ascetic, or abstaining all the time, or being in a state of denial. And that certainly doesn't sound like a very exciting prospect for one's entire life. So what is our notion? Our notion is that holiness has to do with the concept of kedusha. In Hebrew, holiness is kedusha, which literally means separate or set apart for a special relationship. To be holy means one has been separated or set apart for a special relationship. And I think we can see this clearly when it comes to the case of marriage. The sanctity of marriage is the fact that these two individuals have made a commitment to create a unique, special relationship that will never be duplicated. And in fact, at a Jewish wedding ceremony, the first step is the act of kedushin, where a person makes a commitment to be special and unique to that individual and to no one else. I think if someone went to a wedding one night and then 2 nights later they go to another wedding, same woman but a different man, and then 2 nights later, same woman, different man, well, there wouldn't be much holiness there anymore because there's nothing unique about the relationship. The sanctity of marriage is the fact that this is something that will never be recreated with anybody else, and that's what makes it so holy. The Sabbath day is the holiest day in the Jewish week because it has been set aside for us to have a focus on our relationship with the Almighty. So 6 days we can invest our time in building and work in the material world, but one day we take everything we've accomplished and now we connect to the Almighty. And it's not a day where we're not materialistic. We enjoy most of the day around nice, very enjoyable, hearty meals with the whole family. But the idea is we're connecting to what we have, to our purpose and our connection to the Almighty who put us here to accomplish our tasks. Then, of course, we have Israel being the Holy Land because it's been set aside for a unique, special relationship with the Almighty. And things happen in Israel in terms of the Almighty's providence, which are highlighted. And we actually say in the Shema prayer that everything in Israel is going to be dependent on our connection to the Almighty. And then, of course, Jerusalem's the holy city, with being the home of the Temple of Jerusalem. And therefore, we are a holy people. And I think it's important to underscore that holiness really is the underpinnings of our morality, that our quest for justice, for kindness, for mercy, for building a nation that has a very high standard is this commitment that we're just not going to live with the flow of life, to give in to material lusts and passions, but rather we're going to search within every person, relationship, or every moment, or every place that we're in for a connection to the potential that's there within it, which is divine. And therefore, that's really what our quest is all about as a nation. In the next video, we're going to go through more specifically how holiness is really embedded into all these different facets and all the different commandments that are related to those issues. Okay, so let's do a little review, and we'll just get rid of everything. And here we go. Okay, so we said that the rest of the book of Leviticus deals with the concept of holiness. 4 and 5 deals with the holiness of the body. 6 and 7, holiness of the nation. 8, holiness of the priests and the holidays. And 9 and 10 is holiness of the land. And we'll get more clear on this coming up in the next video. The concept of holiness is translated as kedusha, which means separate and set apart for a special relationship. And examples are marriage, the Sabbath day, Israel, Jerusalem, and of course the Jewish people. The very notion of holiness is what creates the framework for all our activities.